When people hear the name F-117 Nighthawk, they usually remember a shape. Sharp angles, flat surfaces, a black aircraft that looks more like a mistake than a machine. It doesn't look fast, it doesn't look powerful, it doesn't look graceful, but it worked. And not in a marginal way. It worked so clearly that it rewrote how air defenses were approached. It worked so decisively that entire planning assumptions collapsed around it, which makes one question unavoidable. If the F-117 proved its point so completely, why did it disappear instead of evolving? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. Technology moved on, new aircraft replaced it, better stealth became available, but those answers missed the real issue. The F-117 did not disappear because it was outdated. It disappeared because the problem it was built to solve stopped existing as a standalone problem. To see why, you don't need history. You need to look at the assumptions it was built around. Before the F-117, air warfare followed a sequence. You jam first, you suppress defenses, you degrade radars. Only then do you go deep. That sequence assumes time. Time to probe, time to attrite, time to create disorder. But there is always a moment where none of that has happened yet. The first night. The phrase first night often sounds abstract. In engineering terms, it is not. It is the most unforgiving environment an aircraft can face. Nothing is degraded. Every radar is calibrated, every operator is alert, every command link is intact. There is no clutter from previous strikes, no confusion from damaged infrastructure, no degraded coordination. From the defender's perspective, this is when the system performs closest to its design ideal. From the attacker's perspective, this is where assumptions fail, because most aircraft are built to exploit weakness. The first night offers none. That is the moment the F-117 was designed for, not the average case. The worst one, it was not built to win an air war. It was built to pass through a fully intact system, once, quietly, precisely, without triggering a chain reaction. The engineers were not chasing invisibility, they were chasing time. Time between detection and tracking, time between tracking and engagement, time between engagement and response. Stealth is often misunderstood as a visibility problem. In reality, it is a failure management problem. Detection alone does not destroy an aircraft. Tracking does, queuing does, engagement does. Those steps happen in sequence, and each step takes time. The F-117 does not need to be unseen forever. It only needs to remain ambiguous long enough. If detection is uncertain, tracking is delayed. If tracking is delayed, engagement solutions degrade. If engagement degrades, defensive systems hesitate. That hesitation is the real resource stealth buys, not invisibility. Time under ambiguity. The F-117 is engineered to live entirely inside that window. That single constraint forces extreme choices. Speed becomes optional, because speed increases heat. Maneuverability becomes a liability, because smooth curves reflect radar energy unpredictably. External payloads are unacceptable, because doors, seams, and edges create spikes in visibility, so the aircraft becomes narrow, flat facets, internal bays, carefully controlled angles, aerodynamically inefficient, operationally restrictive, but inside its envelope it works. When the F-117 enters combat, it does exactly what it was designed to do. It reaches targets assumed unreachable. It strikes nodes that hold the system together. It does so before the defense network understands what is happening. The result is not just physical damage, it is confusion. Command chains lose clarity early. Defensive coordination weakens faster than expected. From the outside, it looks like dominance. From the inside, it is asymmetry and timing. And this is where the misunderstanding begins. Because once stealth works, people assume the next step is more of it. More stealth aircraft, bigger fleets of invisible platforms. That is not how systems respond. When a vulnerability is proven, it stops being rare. Air defenses adapt. Detection shifts from single radars to networks, from isolated sensors to layered coverage, from precision to redundancy. The system becomes less elegant but more resilient. At the same time, offensive planning changes as well. Once initial penetration becomes possible, the priority moves from can we get in to can we operate continuously after we're in. That second question is much harder. It is not about one night, it is about weeks, persistence, retasking, real-time intelligence, constant presence. This is where the F-117 runs into a structural limit. Its design is optimized for a single profile, night operations, pre-planned routes, minimal emissions, maximum control. That works for entry. It does not work for ongoing control. Modern operations demand platforms that can sense, communicate, and adapt constantly. And every one of those demands conflicts with what makes the F-117 exist. Sensors require apertures. Apertures affect signature. Networking requires emissions. Emissions create exposure. Flexibility requires compromise in shape and layout. Compromise undoes the geometry stealth depends on. You cannot add these capabilities gradually. Each addition multiplies risk. Most platforms survive by compromise. They evolve unevenly. They trade purity for versatility. The F-117 cannot. Its value is not incremental. Either it maintains its stealth envelope, or it loses the reason it exists. There is no middle ground. Extreme solutions are powerful, but they are brittle. So the system makes a different choice. Stealth does not disappear. It spreads. It becomes a baseline assumption, not a defining feature. Other aircraft absorb stealth while retaining speed, sensors, payload, and connectivity. They are less extreme, but more adaptable. The F-117 does not fit into that trajectory. When a system absorbs a breakthrough, the original object often disappears. That is not failure, that is completion. Once stealth proves effective, planning no longer asks, can we penetrate at all? It asks, how do we manage tempo, persistence, and coordination under stealthy conditions? At that point, a platform designed only to prove penetration is no longer the right answer. Its logic remains, its form does not. Imagine a world where the F-117 had failed, detected early, tracked reliably, engaged repeatedly. Stealth would have been dismissed as fragile, too narrow, too situational. Air warfare would have doubled down on speed and saturation. That world did not happen, because the F-117 worked. And because it worked, the system chose a different future, one where stealth is everywhere, and therefore nowhere unique. The disappearance of the F-117 is often told as a retirement story. It isn't. It is a systems story. Breakthrough platforms exist to resolve unavoidable bottlenecks. When those bottlenecks disappear, so do they. Not because they were wrong, but because they were too precise for a world that already absorbed their lesson. The F-117 did not lose relevance. It completed its function. And in complex systems, completion often looks like disappearance, not an ending, a transition.